Okay, so in example 2 we're going to look at multiplying fractions. Now there is no need to find a common denominator when you're multiplying, but you do need to convert any mixed numbers into improper fractions. And it's always really helpful if you can look for some diagonal cancelling, and I'll show you what I mean by diagonal cancelling in a minute. Now the first one here, 3/5 multiplied by 4/9, you could just multiply the numerators together to get 12, and you don't need to write this just now. You could also multiply the denominators to get 45, and that's the correct way to deal with this, but of course both of these numbers divide by 3, so you would then have to simplify your answer, and if you simplified it down, 3 into 12 gives you 4, and 3 into 45 gives you 15, so the answer to this is 4/15. And you've got a choice, but it makes sense actually to try and do the cancelling, the simplifying, before you do the multiplying. We don't want to make these numbers any bigger than they have to be, so if we can cancel, we should cancel as early as we can. So what we did to simplify this fraction was divide the numerator and the denominator by 3, and actually you can do that here before you've done any multiplication, because that 3 and that 9, one's on the top, one's on the bottom, they both divide by 3, leaving 1 and 3 behind, and then you can do the multiplication, not 3/5 but 1/5 multiplied by 4/3. So this calculation becomes 1/5 multiplied by 4/3. We've just divided numerator and denominator by 3, and that's going to save us simplifying at the end. Multiply the numerators to get 4, multiply the denominators to get 15. We've got the same answer as we saw earlier on, but we haven't had to do that simplification. So much more efficient if you can do the diagonal cancelling, especially as the numbers get bigger and bigger. Now on to the second example. You can see up here I said that you need to convert any mixed numbers to improper fractions, and you do. We've got a couple of mixed numbers here. So the way to do that, 2 wholes here, that's the same as 8/4. And you've got another 3/4, so that's 11/4 in total. What quite a lot of people do here, just to figure out that 11, we would multiply the whole number by the denominator, that's where the 8 comes from, and then add the 3 on the top to get 11/4. And we need to multiply that by 2 2/3. Well, 2 is the same as 6/3 plus the 2/3, that means we've got 8/3 here. And again, shortcut there would just be to multiply the whole number by the denominator. 2 3's giving you 6, plus the 2 means 8/3. And again, we can look for some diagonal cancelling. You should always look for diagonal cancelling. Now we've got 11 and a 3 here. They're not going to cancel. There are no whole numbers that divide into both of those evenly. But the 8 and the 4 will cancel because they're both in the 4 times 2. We'll both divide by 4. And if you divide 4 by 4, you get 1. 8 divided by 4 gives you 2. So this calculation is now 11/1 multiplied by 2/3. And that's meant the multiplication is a little simpler for us, because 11 2's are 22, and 1 multiplied by 3 gives us 3. So we'll multiply numerators together, multiply denominators together. And since the question gave you the fractions as mixed numbers, then it's generally the done thing to then return the fraction answer to a mixed number. And the way to do that is to think how many 3's are in 22, that's 7. And then that'll give you 7 wholes and 1/3 left over. Now on to the last one here. 3 1/5 multiplied by 1 1/4. We need to make these things into improper fractions. So 3 5's are 15, plus the 1 on the top gives you 16/5. And that's being multiplied in this case by 1 multiplied by 4. So that gives us 5/4, and I think I can see some diagonal cancelling, which is always nice. In fact, these 5's will both divide by 5 to leave 1's behind, and also the 16 and the 4, they both divide by 4 as well, so they can be simplified down. 16 divided by 4 is 4, and that's a 1. And what we've actually got here, which is quite nice without any real massive effort, is 4/1 multiplied by 1/1. Now 1/1 is just 1, and 4/1 is just 4. So we've got 4 multiplied by 1, which gives us nice whole number answer in this case of 4. So just to summarise, multiplying fractions, you don't need a common denominator, but you should always convert any mixed numbers into improper fractions, and then looking for diagonal cancelling means you don't have to simplify at the end, which makes life a little bit easier, especially when the numbers get bigger and bigger.